Is there a such thing as too much new in college football today?
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. Want to dissect some of Cole Kubelich's comments on the Auburn versus Baylor game. There's so much new, but is there a such thing as too much new? Does new even really matter that much anymore? We'll break that down. There's a recruit out there that is in the 2028 class that Auburn absolutely has to get. And he's coming off a really, really good visit. We'll break that down, and we'll give you some golf and baseball updates. But before we do that, we got to give a quick shout out to Ford Stokes with Active Wealth. You can go to calendly.com/Ford Stokes, and you can book an appointment with him directly into his calendar. Get your free Social Security maximization report, the financial plan that carries you all the way to your 95th birthday. If you're going to prepare for retirement, you have to do it before retirement. Do business with Auburn people. Do business with Ford Stokes. He's the man. It's Ford Stokes with Active Wealth. Cole Kubelik went on the Jake Crane show, Crane and Co. I guess that's a Crane and Cone now, I believe is what it's called. And they were discussing the Auburn-Baylor game, and Cole had some interesting comments. I don't super disagree with his point, but I wonder if the crux of the conversation is really that relevant anymore, and we'll talk about it. I want to talk about it specifically with Auburn. So they're talking about the spread. Auburn's opening as a 6.5-point favorite. Cole thinks that's too many points. He says he obviously feels good about Auburn winning the game right now, but he doesn't know if he feels that good about it. And then he goes on to say that there's just so much new with this game. It just gives you uncertain feelings as you head into it. And I want to kind of focus on that last comment. There's so much new. In college football today, the vast majority of teams are going to go through a so much new scenario every single year. You don't have to look much further than just both teams that are going to be playing this weekend, or not this weekend, in 10 weeks. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm fired up for football season. And I guess I understand when he's talking about, since there's so much new, it's really hard to know how things will play out. But is it? But is it really that hard? Let's just focus in on the Auburn team for a second, and then we'll switch to Baylor. But the defensive side of the ball, I think if you polled 100 college football coaches and they would say, can I get something similar to what Auburn's having returning year after year? I think all 100 would say yes. You're going to have over half of your starters are going to be back. Half of your starters from last year, and then a lot of your experienced depth pieces, a lot of them that are going to play more. Jared Smith being one. Those guys are coming back. And then to cap it all off, you return a lot of your staff. You return your defensive guy. You return your defensive line coach. You return the identity of that defense. The identity of that defense that went into Waco last year and held them to only 24 points, a very high-powered offense. They got a lot of yards in between the 20s. But on a road environment, they went in and held those guys to one of their, lowest 2 or 3 scoring outputs of the year. Even with a couple of new faces, on the defensive front, even with a few new faces in the defensive backfield. With the way college football changes and the way the roster changes, man, I think if you ask 100 coaches and they're like, can we have something similar? Can we be guaranteed something like this similar every single year? All of them will take it. I don't think the defense skips a beat. I think there's enough information there to feel good compared to the way the defense performed last year against Baylor. And you're going to be doing it in Atlanta. It's going to be a more friendly environment, even though it's not a true home game. Yeah, there's some new faces. There's some new coaching faces too, but not the identity of that defense is not changing. So, again, in 2018, when you look at defense, you're like, man, there's a lot of upheaval. But in 2026, when you look at the defense from last year to this year, I think it's a completely different ballgame. Now, switch gears over to the offense. You're returning one starter. Now, in a vacuum, you're like, holy cow, man. You're not only are you returning one starter, you're installing a new offense. In a vacuum, that is one of the least desirable situations, I think, to be in. I guess the only thing that would be less desirable is if you didn't return any starters and you're starting 11 totally new guys. And again, like I said, in a vacuum, you're like, man, that's a tall hill to climb. But then you have to look at the Auburn situation as it is. What did you bring in? You brought in an entire staff that just had one of the top offenses in the country. And then you brought in a lot of the same players from that particular offense that was one of the top offensive in the country, with the leader being your quarterback, who was one of the top offensive output quarterbacks in the country. And you're at a point in spring where you not only have the whole offense installed because of the continuity, you have all the checks to the offense installed because of the continuity. Now, I don't think anybody is just writing in that Auburn is going to be just this unstoppable force on offense. They're going to have to work really hard on that offensive line. They're going to have to continue throughout the summer and all fall camp to make sure that they have the right five. They got a ton of bodies. They got a ton of guys, but not many of them have played before, together at all. So you're going to have to do a really good job of, assembling that perfect mix of five guys to be able to carry throughout this schedule. And it starts off right there with Baylor. Now, Auburn did add 60 players, okay? When you add it, that's a ton of folks on a 105 or whatever it is roster. Adding in 60 new players, that is a ton of new. Baylor added 44, so there's a 16-person gap. It's hard for me on offense when you bring to count all those offensive guys, particularly the ones that are going to start, like Byron Brown, Cole Best, Keyshawn Singleton, Jeremiah Coger, Chaz Nimrod. Like, it's hard to count those guys as a brand new true transfer because think about it, they know everything already. They know everything about the offense already. Now, the competition level, it's going to take them time to ramp up. But they know everything already. So it's not the same as a DJ Lagway going from a Billy Napier offense to a Jake Spavital offense, which those two could not be more different. So, yeah, Auburn has a new quarterback and Baylor has a new quarterback, but Auburn's quarterback has had really high-level proven production, and he's playing in the same offensive system, just at a different level. Whereas DJ Lagway has been sporadic at best, I think, is the best way to describe it. And regardless if you want to consider the offense that he played in, if it handicapped him, whatever, doesn't matter. Sporadic at best. He's a new quarterback, but he's learning a completely new philosophy. It's two totally different styles of football. So when you look at, if you look at it again in a vacuum, Auburn's added 60 guys. Baylor's only added 44. Maybe there's a little bit more continuity over there they didn't lose their head coach. There's a little bit more continuity on that side than there is Auburn. But when you really look at it under a microscope, is there that much new? Is there that much new on the Auburn side? And does new really have the same weight that it had 10 years ago? That's all I'm saying. I still feel like Auburn's got the better roster. 6.5 points, I don't think is enough. And I think Auburn wins by double digits, just like I thought the same thing last year, and Auburn won by double digits. So we'll see what happens. I'd love to get your thoughts. Does the new concern you as much as it would if it was, several years back? Is the new that much of something that needs to be of concern at all? I'd love to get your thoughts. All right, we're going to jump in. I want to talk about this recruit because this is just fantastic. We're going to talk about him in just a second, but before we do that, we got to give a quick shout out to the PTAC and their Beat the Heat offer, Precision Tune Auto Care in Opelika off Pepperell Parkway. Now they're open at 7 a.m. So if you want to get something in early, you can drop it off at 7 a.m. But the Beat the Heat offer, free AC performance evaluation, free system pressure test, free vent temperature analysis, and then anything they find that needs to be fixed, anything over $300 to repair, they're going to give you $50 off. Guys, it's getting hot out there. It was hot yesterday. It was almost 90 degrees in Auburn, Alabama yesterday. Auburn, Opelika, Lee County. So why not go ahead and get ahead of it and make sure that your AC is working properly? Because, man, you don't want that thing to shut down. So show them some love. It's Precision Tune Auto Care. And then, obviously, we got to shout out buyauburn.com. We got some new podcasts dropping this weekend on the Buy Auburn podcast. Some guys I think you're really going to like to meet. Do business with Auburn people. We're going to introduce you to a lot of Auburn business owners. And if you're an Auburn fan, do business with them. It's that simple. If you're going to be a part of the Auburn family, do business with them. And then if you're an Auburn business owner out there, list your business for less than $1 a day. And you also can have a chance to have your own business spotlight podcast on the Buy Auburn podcast. Guys, thanks for showing love to this site. It's been a lot of fun, a good ride so far. We'll be back right after this. Okay, I know most of you are going to roll your eyes when I start talking about a 2028 recruit. You're like, oh my God, that's way too far out. I cannot put any energy into this. We can't do it. But just sit tight. You're going to love this. So this past Big Cat weekend, obviously for the 2027 class, we talked about the fireworks from the top end wasn't quite there as far as top 100 players. I know that doesn't really matter that much anymore, but it lacked the firepower at the top of the class, even though you got a big commitment on Monday from someone who wasn't even at Big Cat weekend inside the top 100. But the 2028 class did not lack firepower. It was stacked with top 100 guys. As a matter of fact, I think you had like 3 or 4 guys inside the top 10 or top 15 of overall players, and one guy in particular. This one's a must get. You have to empty the tank to get this kid. The number 11 overall player in the 2028 class. He's a safety. On his 3rd visit to Auburn, said this was his best one. From McEachern High School, that school's very familiar to Auburn. His name is Casey Barner. Let's go. If you can't get a kid whose last name is Barner, to Auburn, shut down the program and just pack it up and head to the house. Can you imagine the jersey sales that say Barner across the back? Doesn't matter what number. This kid he could be number 49 as a safety. If it says Barner across the back, you can't sell enough of those jerseys. Ranking not even counting the ranking, not even counting that he's one of the top overall players in the country, probably a future 5-star. All those things are great. Dadgummit, man, what a name. Casey Barner. Please come to Auburn. Like, this feels like a natural partnership that we could possibly have. You're going after Nash Johnson, who's also from the same high school. Could you get Nash in the 2027 class and then slide in and get Casey in the 2028 class? Would be absolutely phenomenal. He's the number 11 overall player again in the Rivals industry rankings, top 17 player on just Rivals in general, top 10 player on 247, the number 1 player in the state of Georgia on these early 2028 rankings. Ton of fun, man. Ton of fun. Would be really, really cool. So, Coach, if you can get this one, we could have a lot of fun with it. He will be a fan favorite. So, Casey Barner, the all-time name winner of Auburn, if he comes to Auburn, it will be the top name of all time, unless there was some dude named Auburn or some dude named Tiger or some guy who was named like Pat Dye or Bo Jackson. If we would have gotten Bo Jackson, the running back that went to Ohio State, that could have rivaled it. Casey Barner, man. Let's roll. Let's talk baseball and golf as we get out of here. Going to start with golf. Going into that final round today, this will determine if Auburn goes to the national title tournament next week, or it's really a little bit longer than a week, or not. And they're in a good spot, but the work is not finished. Right now, they sit in the 3 spot. And remember, the top 5 out of 15 advance. So really what you're watching is who's on that 6 line. Who's on that 6-7 line that can make a surge that you got to make sure that you beat out. And then obviously you got the guys in front of you and around you that you're watching too. But yeah, Auburn is 4 shots clear of the team that's in 6th place, which is Charleston. Auburn's been super steady. I think a couple of guys are battling a stomach bug, and they're still hanging in there, grinding it out. 2 consecutive rounds as a team shooting 7 under. If they shoot that again, they're in. If they shoot that again, it would shock me if you had so many teams that came from behind and went super, super deep that would jump them. I mean, it would take some pretty phenomenal rounds to do that. And again, the leaders have been pretty consistent. When I say leaders, your top guys have been pretty consistent. Josiah Gilbert's only 3 shots back of being the medalist, which is the lowest individual of the 3 rounds, which is just like a notch in your belt. Doesn't necessarily mean anything super important. It doesn't mean anything for the team either. But Josiah Gilbert's playing really well. Jackson Coyvin's playing steady. Your other guys are hanging in there. They're not losing it for you, shooting around even par. You just got to keep adding rounds, man. You got to have another good round today. You feel confident, but again, a couple of bad holes and you could be in the danger zone. So they're right there where they need to be. If they fire off another round like they've been, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll get through. They'll breeze through easy, and then we'll head out to California and try to win another natty. So that's your Auburn golf update. They tee off pretty early this morning, so I imagine by about lunchtime, a little bit after, we should know about where we should know where we stand about lunchtime. Switching gears to baseball, I can't believe they actually got the game in, but it looks like the LSU-Oklahoma game did get in yesterday. Wasn't sure what they were going to do, if there was some weather, and then that first game had a ton of hits and runs in it. It just kind of pushed everything back, but they did get it in. LSU takes down Oklahoma 6-2. Auburn didn't play LSU this year, so little bit of an unknown as far as matchup goes there. But it looks like they will play tonight. If the weather's fine and nothing gets delayed, they will play tonight at 8, scheduled for 8 p.m. Will it actually go off at 8 p.m.? We'll see. But Auburn, LSU, for the Auburn's first round is technically the second round of the SEC tournament. I'll be fascinated to see who they pitch. If it's me, I say go throw whoever you want to throw on day one of the regional. Throw them. That way they got a lot of time to rest. But I'm sure I'm not a baseball coach, and I don't think super in depth like they do. A lot of different things, a lot of different scenarios that they could use. But I want to see Auburn make a run here, man. If the game goes off at 8 o'clock, if the game actually is played, we're going to do a barn cast. I know I've been saying it. It's postseason. We're going to do a barn cast for baseball, so make sure you're on the lookout for that. We'll have some fun. Guys, thanks for listening. Let me know what you think about being concerned about new. Does new concern you like it does others? And then go follow Casey Barner and tell him how much we love him and how much we need him for 2028. I know it's a long time from now, but got to get that kid to Auburn. Guys, take it easy. We'll talk again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.